If you want your sales team to absolutely crush it for you this year and close a metric ton of deals, then you need to make sure you give them the right compensation plan. So today, I'll be sharing with you exactly what that might look like. So there's actually a quote by Charlie Munger, who is one of the most successful billionaire investors in the world, partner to Warren Buffett. And what he said was, show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcome. And that could not be more true when it comes to sales and hiring talent. A sales team that has a good incentive structure that incentivizes and motivates their reps to perform at their best will always be very profitable. Comparatively, a sales team with a poor incentive structure and a mediocre comp plan, they are going to eventually collapse and fail because the reps are just not going to be motivated. So today, I want to go through with you exactly what makes a compensation structure attractive and interesting for a rep compared to one that might actually de-incentivize them and make them want to quit. At the end, I'll even tell you what my personal incentive structure is right now for my team, and you might even want to just rip it off and copy it. So the first major point that I want to talk about in regards to compensation for your sales team is the age-old question, to base or not to base. And by that, what I mean is, do you actually want to pay your sales reps a base salary? And the answer is, it depends. In general, a lot of people don't want to pay a base salary because they feel as though a sales role should be 100% commission. But the reality is, having no base actually provides a couple of downsides. In general, I'd actually say if your sales role has a very, very large potential to make some massive income, you can probably get away with not having a base salary. And the reason why is because if someone's able to make $10, $15, even $20,000 and above in monthly income, they're gonna be willing to take the risk that comes with making potentially nothing. And this fits the mindset of top performing sales reps in particular because they want to feel in control of their own destiny and they want to feel as though they're being compensated proportionally to their performance. However, let's say the commission structure isn't actually that lucrative and the upside isn't super high. For example, a setter, even if they perform incredibly well, their commissions might only top out at say $3,000 to $5,000 a month. In that case, if you don't provide a base salary for that salesperson, they're probably not going to be very incentivized to stick around because there just isn't enough upside earning potential. So in that situation, you provide that type of role with a base salary, the stability that allows them to know, hey, you know what? Even on a bad month, I'm gonna make a couple $1,000s potentially, and on a good month, I can make $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. Overall, the question that you need to ask yourself is, if you're not providing the stability that comes with a base salary, and the upside is low because the commission structure isn't particularly rewarding, why would someone actually want to work within your organization? Best case, they beat their quota, and they still only earn a little bit because their commission model isn't super rewarding. So here really are your options. Option number one is you do provide a super lucrative commission plan and you have no base. And this means your sales rep has the ability to make probably 5 figures a month, if not more. And the second option is that you have a decent commission plan combined with a small base salary that will give them a little bit of stability, and together with both base plus commission, they can still probably earn 5 figures a month. And the third option is that you provide a little bit of a higher base, but the commission model's a little bit more limited. Even if I am providing a base salary though, I'm trying to make the commission be still lucrative enough that a sales rep could probably double, if not even triple, their overall income based on their commission. And that means the base isn't so high that your reps get lazy and that they're just pretty much okay because their base is essentially sufficient for them to be happy. It's actually quite interesting because many times I've been able to poach talented sales reps from other companies simply because that other company was not paying them enough, that they had a cap on the amount of commissions they could make or the amount of commissions they made per sale, which is very, very low. And that talented salesperson that was probably bringing that company in a ton of money ends up coming to work for us because we're just willing to give them a better commission model. Now, to tie a ribbon on this particular topic, I will say overall, not every single sales role is meant to make 5 figures a month. There are some junior sales roles. Let's say you're hiring an appointment setter who's like between the age of 20 to 23, sometimes they're fresh out of school, it's their first job ever, that person probably isn't going to be expecting a total potential income of over $10,000 a month. So with these appointment setters, for example, you might be okay with having their projected top line upside be maybe even $5,000 a month. And that's still pretty good, but definitely with a closer or an account executive, if they don't have a line of sight into making at least 5 figures a month, it's gonna be quite difficult for them to wanna stick around. So the next question is, how do you actually structure the way that you pay out your commissions? Now, I'll actually break this up by role because depending on the actual sales role, the way in which you're gonna set up this commission structure will differ. For example, if you're talking about a setter slash SDR or a closer slash AE, naturally, they're gonna be compensated a little bit differently. So let's start off with the SDR or the appointment setter. Obviously, their role is primarily focused on generating pipeline, booking appointments. So there's a couple different options here. Option number one for the SDR slash setter is that you provide a commission only when a deal that they bring in closes and they pay. Option number two is you provide a commission whenever this SDR slash setter books a meeting for you. So generally speaking, I actually prefer option number one, which is when the deal actually closes and your cash is collected, because this means that your setter only gets paid a commission when you actually get paid for the deal. And this is definitely much more friendly to the CEO slash business owner because that means you're only incurring a cost when you make the money. The reason why I like this is because if you're paying a commission every single time your setter is booking a meeting, you might actually start losing money because not every single time a meeting gets booked do you get paid. In fact, probably only 20% of the meetings that your setters are gonna book will ever turn into a paying client. There's a little bit more of a risk if you're electing to pay on every single qualified meeting booked. If you do go this route, I would say 3 to 5% of the total size of the deal is a decent amount of commission and fair to pay out to the setter who originally found that prospect and booked the call. Now, there are situations in which option two makes more sense. Once again, option two is that you pay the commission whenever your setter books the meeting. And the primary reason why I would say this makes sense is if you have a very long sales cycle. Let's say you're selling a very long enterprise deal and it might take 4 weeks for the deal to even close. In fact, 4 weeks isn't even that long because my first sales job ever, it was a 3-month sales cycle on average for a $50,000 product. The reality is your setters are not going to want to wait 3 months or even 1 month for them to collect their commission if they booked the meeting 4 weeks prior to that. They're gonna feel very frustrated that they're doing all this work and they just feel as though it's totally out of their control. And in that case, I'm more than happy to just pay for the qualified meeting that they booked. Now, it's really important to note though, that you want to make sure that these meetings are qualified because you don't want to incentivize your setters and SDRs to just be booking literally any and every single meeting. Because if you do that, they're gonna just start putting a bunch of junk leads into your closers' calendars and they're gonna get paid out, whereas you're never gonna turn any of those deals into actual paid revenue since they're bad leads, right? So you gotta make sure that if you're paying on qualified meetings, that your closer or whoever is the sales rep is actually validating that A, the lead jumped on the call in the first place, and B, that the lead fits your ideal client profile. And if that's the case, by all means, pay out your setter for every single meeting that qualifies for those parameters. Now, if you do go with this second option, how would you actually price your commission? Paying a flat rate per meeting between say $25 to $100 does make sense, but really do the math on your deal size, on your closing rate to figure out what is a fair compensation. Once again, if you're selling a $100,000 deal, obviously the amount that you're willing to pay per meeting should be a lot higher compared to another business who's getting paid only $5,000 per closed deal, right? So really, you need to be adjusting your commission model based on the value of your individual offer sold. Now, regarding the closer, things are actually a little bit more straightforward here. So you are always going to be compensating them based on deals that they're closing. However, there are other things that you can consider. For example, you can pay them a bonus if they're able to collect cash up front. Obviously, as a business owner, if you're getting all the money in the first day rather than collecting it over the course of 12 months, you're much happier. And I like to incentivize my closers to try to aim for that type of setup. Another way in which you can modify the payment structure and potentially provide bonuses is how long does your closer actually negotiate the contract to last for? Obviously, if your closer is able to get a commitment for 12 months rather than just 6 months, then you're pretty much locked in for a higher lifetime value of the client. So in that case, you can pay a little bit of a bonus because your closer was able to lock them in for a longer period of time. Other things that I like is a team bonus, where if you have a large team of closers, then the collective revenue generated by the entire team allows everyone to potentially earn a bonus together. And the reason why I like this is because it fosters a bit more of a team culture where everyone's working together and they're willing to help each other out. And the final bonus that I like is what I call the accelerator. And this means, let's say someone hits their quota, we can pretend their quota is $50,000, right? If they hit their quota at $50,000, then every dollar that they close beyond the $50,000, they get actually paid more. So for example, let's say they close $100,000 instead of 50, then that additional 50 grand that they are able to close will actually get compensated at a higher commission rate to really reward them for beating their quota. Of course, if they can only close underneath their quota, then they'll only make their normal commission rate. Now, overall, when we do talk about the actual percentages, I typically will recommend somewhere between 8 to 15% of the total amount of revenue that each deal is worth. This can go up or down depending on the size of the deal. If you're closing a pretty small LTV offer, let's say $5,000, I would definitely recommend you pay out on the higher end of the 8 to 15%, just because it's going to be much harder for you to keep your closers happy if they're making such small commission checks every time they close a deal. Whereas let's say it's a $50,000 overall deal, you can probably get away with paying out smaller commissions, such as like an 8% to a 10% commission. Now, a lot of this does change if you have a base salary, because base salary not only provides guaranteed income, but it also provides stability, which for the state of mind of a salesperson can feel quite nice. So as a sacrifice for having a little bit of a base salary, definitely you want to keep the percentages of the commission a little bit lower than what you might if you didn't have that base salary. So hopefully this video has been super helpful for you as you're defining your sales team. If you're actually curious how to find your salespeople and how to build out your team, I do have this other video that you can click and watch right now that goes super into detail about that. And if you haven't already liked and subscribed, please do. I'll be releasing new content just about sales, marketing, and building out sales teams every single week pretty much for free. And finally, if you actually just want to speak with me because you have a couple questions about how you can better optimize and build out your sales team, then just book a meeting with me. My calendar link is in the description box below. You can check it out and we can have a quick conversation. So with that being said, thank you so much for your time and I'll see you around.